am going to welcome everyone to OLLI at the University of South Dakota. We're here for OLLI Shorts, which is our February programs during the lunch hour, at least in Central Daylight Time. We are here every day, every weekday during February, except the 21st, because that day is President's Day and we'll be gone that day. We're going to talk to our guest today, and we'll have a Q&A at the end, unless he wants questions during. But we will do our best to be done by 1 o'clock. And I need to thank the South Dakota Humanities Council and the National Endowment for the Humanities for the grant that made this possible this month. And thank everyone for attending. So Jake, tell us what's happening there.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Feel free to ask questions throughout. This one's pretty unstructured. I am definitely an enthusiast when it comes to 3D printing, laser cutting. I kind of consider myself sort of an early adopter on the home access to a lot of these things. I really like having the expensive gadgets. I especially like when it gets to a point where the sort of the plug and play options become affordable to common people. Laser cutting has been around for quite a few years. Then of course, plasma cutting, things like that. It's not by any means brand new technology. It's got a couple decades behind it, but as far as the home hobbyist goes, price has been a bar to entry, and a lot of times your home hobbyist has had to build their own equipment, especially when it comes to having something that's on a scale that you can fit in your own workshop, and not have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on. With something like I've got in my dining room now, this was under $1,000. And I'm thrilled. It's under $1,000, and it is essentially, I plug it into my computer. It's got software from the company, and it works. And that's incredible. I'm thrilled, because then I can just start importing things and making stuff. And I'm so excited because I don't necessarily want to have to build my technology from scratch to be able to use it. I just want to go, mad scientist, and it's alive. But with this, right now, I am, I'll flip this back around again. Right now, I've got it in an engraving mode. It is moving on a lower power and a faster speed so that it can etch the surface. Essentially, I'm just burning the surface of the material to mark it. Different materials, of course, are going to require different settings for burning, for marking them. If I wanted to cut through the surface, such as having made this apple, I would need either higher power, slower speed, or both. So, folks with me so far? I guess any questions on the laser? Yeah, I don't know. I want folks to ask me lots of questions. I definitely want this to be a question guided kind of thing.
Looks like no questions so far, but I'm sure there will be.
No questions so far. Okay. So my first early big project with this, I'd had this for a couple of weeks, and saw a call on Facebook. There was a fashion show coming up, and they wanted visual artists to create art to help set the mood for the fashion show. And I'm like, well, I do some artistic-ish stuff once in a while. So I was like, you know what? Cool. I'm just going to go to the meeting. And I was like, I'm going to find an excuse to make art with my laser. And they had a kind of a bizarre theme. They wanted like a homegrown farmer's market, but they also wanted something that felt futuristic and they also wanted a theme that was like upcycled and recycled. And I was like, all right, I think I can do something like that. And at the end of the day, what I came up with was a concept like this, my laser cut fruit. Also had some other laser cut items, but this was the first item I came up with that fit this concept, was modeled an apple and took inspiration from sort of a retro futuristic, because they kind of wanted that retro future look, kind of almost wonder if I'll get better if I turn this light on. I wanted like a retro futuristic look. So I thought about like the wireframe CG from like the 80s and 90s, when we were just kind of getting the hang of it. And I thought how well that applies to the flat planes that are laser cut. And all of the Christmas shopping we've been doing online, because we weren't Christmas shopping in person at that point. So resulted in an apple that was being cut from flat pieces. Each apple was composed of 6 of these apple slices. And this one's a little mushed up because some of my cardboard was mushed up and I just used it. 6 apple slices, and then I had a top, middle, and bottom section that had just the slices went into. So making the apple, was able to just go ahead and slot things together and make the fruit. Able to later design bananas, oranges, and they later really wanted to focus on this idea of a milkman. And so I ended up doing this whole milk display as well. And the milk bottles were kind of a unique challenge to design. And I've got a bunch of apples that I had made before we really just figured out how we were painting things. And so I ended up later kind of redesigning everything with these retention tabs. And it's kind of a miscut, but everything I tried to print on one sheet, and it just had itty bitty little parts that they didn't cut out all the way. So we could take a roller and we could paint both sides, and then we could just pop our pieces out. And the pieces would pop out really nicely. And once we had throwing apples or throwing milk bottle pieces around, and popping these pieces out is really satisfying because they just pull away from the cardboard. And I kept one not popped out. I specifically, for months, it's been sitting on my desk waiting for my OLLI talk, just for you guys. But it's just so fun because it's these, hair thin tolerances, because it is cut with a laser. Like if this was in person, I'd be inviting people up to come in and be like, look good, you know how fun this is. But you're not here, so you just get to imagine. And then from here, you kind of get a puzzle. You're like, all right, no hole in this. Well, this is obviously the bottom then of a milk bottle. A hole in the middle, that's going to be a milk middle. A milk middle. And then no hole, so that's a cap. Go around to the other side, and we're lining up holes and And it's strange because even though these individual parts are pretty flimsy, once things start to lock together, they become very strong very quickly. I was amazed at the number of pieces that, basically I very nearly broke when assembling, but once everything was locked together, you couldn't tell that things had been mushed at any point or were falling apart. Gosh, these are hard to get started though, because the spaces and the tolerances are tight. There we go. So now I've got the profile of my milk bottle. And this is actually a really good visual of how I started designing the milk bottle. When I designed the milk bottle, I actually went into a drawing program and I imported a picture of a milk bottle and put a line down the middle of it and drew a profile of one side, shrank that profile down to give me an inside of that, and then offset my my center line a small amount. I decided how many steps I wanted on my inside. In this case, I took 5 and decided what I wanted my offset to be. Basically took what my offset was here and I said, okay, my hollow parts are going to be offset by that much. So I knew what these rings would be and how much the hollow offset in the middle of those rings would be, marked that information down so that I was able to draw 5 rings, which I put notches in, offset rings on the inside, was able to set those aside, those drawings aside for cutting. Then I was able to take this shape that I'd drawn, put matching notches in to match the rings. And if you look closely, there is a little, maybe if I move out of here, it'll focus better. There we go. There's a little nubbin just inside there. And that nubbin is actually so it will crush and grasp onto the cardboard better, because I have the gap is just a teensy bit bigger than the thickness of the cardboard, just so you can slide it on. If the tolerances are exact, it's almost impossible to slide on. So I've got a teensy bit bigger, and that nubbin makes the hole a teensy bit smaller. So it actually crushes and then grasps tight on the cardboard. So it's bigger so I can slide it on, and then that nubbin makes it a teensy bit smaller. So when I shake it, it doesn't fall out. And it took a while to figure that out. But because I've been reading up on laser cutting things for a while before I had one, I was sitting there going, how do I get these together? But then they don't fall apart. And I was like, I think I read something about nubbins. And I started going back and adding nubbins. It's kind of weird and awkward, but nubbins are tons of fun. And then once you get into the rhythm of it, these shapes start to assemble fairly quickly. I think my muscle memory is starting to come back on this. And I have a milk bottle. One of the funny things about these is it doesn't look like the edges of these are charred at all, but when you handle them for a little bit, you totally get char on your fingers, and then you start having to be careful what you touch, because then you wipe your hands on your face or something and you're like, well, I've got smudges on me, which is pretty funny. But it's more obvious on solid surfaces if you're cutting through wood and things like that, that char occurs. And of course, cardboard is not the only thing that I'm able to laser engrave. I don't have any examples of it, but this laser is a diode laser which is the weaker of two types of lasers. There's also CO2 lasers, which are the more industrial type, and diode lasers, which are like the type used in CD players, Bluetooth, not Bluetooth, but DVD players. Those are what have brought the cost down enough for hobbyists to be able to have laser cutters like this, more powerful diode lasers. But they're not able to, say, cut through, you know, like aluminum sheets. What they can do is they can cut through thinner, softer woods, cardboard. They can engrave off, paint on metal, anodize surfaces on metal. So I've got a roller I can attach to this, so I can engrave like Yeti water bottles by engraving the anodized surface off of that. Or I had a friend who she thought that the charcuterie boards that say shark coochie boards are hilarious. So I went into my graphic design program and I drew up a little graphic for her, and I need to get this to her still, but I made her a shark coochie board that I need to get her. So if anyone wants to order a shark coochie board, let me.
That's pretty awesome.
And that was just like a $5 bamboo cutting board. So very silly. But any questions so far? Like, I'm just rambling.
I love it. So you designed that milk bottle. So I'm imagining you have some engineering skills, some math skills that it probably took to design that, right?
Right. Yeah. It was kind of a matter of like, yeah, I've got kind of it's recently come to my attention that I quite probably have ADHD, and that my brain does weird things because of it, and that my ability to visualize in 3D and break down those shapes is not something that average people necessarily do.
I agree.
I was not aware of that. So it was a matter of taking that milk bottle shape, and basically I was like, all right, if I take that milk bottle shape and I go, how can I represent a very 3D shape that is not made of flat surfaces? How do I take this shape that's made of flat surfaces and strike planes through it to make it feel as 3D as possible? And so I basically put an axis right through the middle and struck planes through it and said, you know what, I think I can do this. You know, found axes of symmetry, so I could have as many identical parts as possible, to where, again, most of it's transparent and see-through, but you have this idea of volume, while seeing through it, and this idea of shape. So yeah, definitely a mathematics and engineering background come into play. I am a mechanical engineering dropout. I hate saying that, but who is also a minor in mathematics dropout. So definitely the math and engineering background, because of exactly what my brain does. It turns out thermodynamics is where I struggle. Heat transfer, that's where I failed.
Oh my gosh. We have a lot of comments. Mary says, what he's creating reminds me of balsa wood airplanes we assembled and play with as kids. Did you ever do those?
Much.
Yeah.
And I could definitely, balsa wood is one of the woods I can cut. This failed in gluing. It didn't line up right, but I've done a lot with basswood, which is just a little bit denser than balsa. my son's preschool teachers, I took a pattern for ABC puzzles, and I selected the letters out of those and made nameplates for his teacher and her I guess primary, and I don't know what the secondary classroom secondary teacher in the classroom is, like the teacher's aide in the classroom, I guess. Made nameplates for them that have letters that pop out, and I use this wood that, yeah, it's a little bit flimsier. You know, the base wood is flimsier. It's just slightly denser than balsa, but it cuts so easily, and I love it. And they just absolutely love their Christmas presents because they were just these really cute, puzzle nameplates, which are perfect for pre-K teachers. So
I bet that is really neat. David says it's kind of like a wood burning kit taken to the next level.
It very much is. I love the idea of wood burning. And I have thought about doing wood burning, and then I'm like, oh my God, I am such a perfectionist. I would do wood burning until I made my first mistake, and then I would just like throw the kit out the window, and I'd stay out of my house. This is fantastic because I am doing wood burning with computer precision. I can do my graphics on the computer before I commit to putting my charcuterie board on my $3 cutting board I got at Tuesday morning. I can put my design on cardboard and make sure it comes out perfect. Like it's very much that kind of thing where the perfectionist in me is like, all right, I can do this.
Right. Well, we have another comment from Carla that I totally agree with. She said she's too spatially challenged to be any good at designing these, but it is fascinating. I can totally relate to that. It is amazing that you can see things in that way.
Another cool thing on this though is that there are a lot of people who use because something like this is almost like having like a Cricut or a Silhouette that's on steroids.
Yep.
And there are a lot of people who make money with these using designs that are made for the Cricut or the Silhouette. So you can go to, like, I don't know, like I'm sure this is an actual site, but I'm just making it up as an example, like svgbundles.net, and you can get designs that you can laser cut or laser engrave, so you get your nice frame or whatever. That's your say your rustic plank that you want to laser engrave, and then you get your spring has sprung SVG and you laser engrave it onto that, and someone else has done the design work, but then you combine it with that plank and the laser, and you've made something of value. So it's pretty cool.
Neat. David says, my front door has a laser cut image of an evergreen tree. It was made in the late 1980s. I think it was quite new technology in 1987.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Especially, CNC laser cutting, CNC being computer numerical control. I think the lasers powerful lasers were pretty new then, and then having definitely commercial computers that could control them sensibly and be affordable were not super common on the market yet either. So that's kind of a cool item to have from that period, because that's very much at the front edge of that. It actually feels like it would have been almost more likely to have been water jet or plasma cut than laser at that point.
Maybe. Yeah. Are you going to take your front door off today, Jake? No.
Yeah,
engrave it.
Front door off and...
Right. Does anybody else have any other questions? Feel free to unmute and ask. John, I see you're unmuted. Did you have something?
No, I'm just kind of amazed. So
Me too. Um, Jake, before everybody was on here, you showed me a big bag of apples that you had. Can you pick up that bag and show them again?
Yes. So I when I said that I could laser cut fruit, I wanted to walk into our second meeting with proof of concept because I wasn't sure they believed me. So I spent an afternoon laser cutting like 20 apples, and it's just this big bag of apples. And so I've been sitting with this huge bag of laser cut apples under my desk, and like I don't even know what to do with them. Like, and they're super cute because they've got like bits of like shipping label that you can see, and they've got, just whatever was on the boxes on them, and I think they're just adorable. Like I think I might use them as like, I don't know, just what do you call it when you've got like the basket that's just got like the wicker balls and stuff in it? Is that
Yeah,
like basket filler?
yeah.
But I might just use them as like basket filler on a living room table or something, just to be unique. And then people are like, "Oh my God, where'd you get that basket filler?" And I was just like, "Oh yes, I got it at my table lobby." Like,
In my table lobby. David was just showing us a picture. Let me see if I can spotlight him. That's his door. That is gorgeous.
Oh wow, I love it.
Incredible. David, did you do it or somebody else did it?
No, it was on the house when he bought it in 1990, and the house was built in 1987. So yeah,
Wow.
it's really cool. It pretty much sold me on the house because I
Yeah.
love trees. I love trees, and it was just so cool to see that. You can't really see it's not good enough resolution to see it, but all the intricate everything's backwards here.
Yeah,
All the intricate little openings between the needles and stuff. It doesn't quite stand out like it
that's
should.
gorgeous.
Anyway, yeah, it's really cool. What you're doing, Jake, is just absolutely gorgeous. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
Well, maybe we should have Jake come out sometime and does your laser cutter, is it movable? Could you bring it sometime?
Yeah, my laser cutter is movable. It's really neat. So I've got it on my my spoil board, or my frame here, and that's just so I can kind of scoot it around, but the whole thing actually lifts up, and
Oh,
like that frame was just kind of just give it a home. And my Hello Ollie finished,
it did.
so that's
Look at that. Oh my gosh.
yeah. Also, I don't know where this random circle and heart came from. I think it ran. Those were totally on the preview. I think I accidentally added those.
That's funny.
So
Oh,
yeah. Oh,
that is so cool.
yeah, I totally it cut through on these solid areas. That's where that smoke was coming from.
Neat. Wow. Well, Jake, this has been really fun. Thank you so much. And
well, thank you
let's
for
talk
having me. I
again.
appreciate it when the second year now I've gotten to talk to you guys, and I always like coming out. I mean, well, virtually coming out.
We would love to have you here in person sometime. And if nothing else, just so we can all sit around and watch you work and watch the laser cut. So
Absolutely.
all right. Well, thank you, Jake. And I just want to remind everybody, we are here every weekday in the month of February at 12:30 Central Time, except February 21st. So come back, use the same link. And Jake, join us anytime you want. We'd love to have you back.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks, Thea. Bye.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you.